The packed suitcase stood by the door, offensively bright pink against the muted tones of our hallway. Celeste fussed with her scarf, checking her reflection in the hall mirror for the 10th time. "Okay, I think that's everything," she announced, turning to me with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Or maybe I was just imagining things. I'd been doing a lot of that lately. "Have a great time," I said, forcing my own smile. "You deserve a break. Just you and the girls." "Exactly," she chirped, adjusting the strap of her carry-on bag. "Sun, sand, maybe a few too many cocktails. No work talk allowed." She leaned in for a kiss, a quick, practiced peck on the cheek. It felt different from the way she used to kiss me goodbye, even for short trips. There was a distance, a carefulness that hadn't been there before. We'd been married 15 years. 15 years of building a life, raising 2 kids, now navigating their teenage years, navigating careers, finances, the whole messy, complicated business of sharing everything. I thought I knew her better than anyone, but over the past 6 months, something had shifted. It wasn't one big thing, more like 1,000 tiny paper cuts to the trust we'd built. Late nights at the office became more frequent, explained away with vague deadlines. Her phone, once casually left on the kitchen counter, was now always screened down or tucked away in her purse. There were hushed conversations she ended quickly if I walked into the room, explained as work emergencies or gossip with her friends, the ones joining her on this girls' trip. Friends I barely knew. She'd mentioned them, of course. Brenda, Tricia, maybe Elisa. But they weren't part of our usual circle. They were newer work acquaintances, she'd said. People she needed to network with, build rapport. This trip, a long weekend at a resort down south, was supposedly a mix of bonding and relaxation. "Don't worry about a thing here," I reassured her, gesturing vaguely around the house. "Kids are old enough to mostly manage, and I'll handle the rest." "I know you will," she said, patting my arm. Her touch felt light, almost dismissive. "Brenda's picking me up any minute. I should wait outside." "All right. Text me when you land." "Of course." Another quick smile, and then she was wrestling the pink suitcase out the door, the click of the lock echoing slightly in the suddenly quiet house. I watched through the window as a sleek, unfamiliar SUV pulled up. A woman I didn't recognize leaned across the passenger seat to push the door open for Celeste. They exchanged brief words. Celeste laughed, a sound that felt jarringly loud from here. And then she slid into the car. The pink suitcase was loaded into the back, and just like that, they were gone. I stood there for a long time after the car disappeared down the street. The silence pressed in. It wasn't just the absence of Celeste's usual morning bustle, it was a deeper quiet, the kind that settles when unspoken questions hang in the air. Why did this trip feel so different? Why did her reassurances ring hollow? Was it the secrecy around the planning? Usually she loved planning trips, showing me brochures, discussing flight options. This time it was all handled by Brenda, details kept vague. "It's a surprise for us," Celeste had said when I'd asked about the resort name. "Brenda got a deal." Or was it the way she'd deflected when I offered to drive her to the airport? "No need, sweetie. Brenda's route goes right past there anyway." It made sense, technically, but it added another layer to the feeling that I was being kept at arm's length. I walked back into the kitchen, the familiar space feeling suddenly unfamiliar. Her coffee mug sat by the sink, a faint lipstick smudge on the rim. Our life was built on routines, shared moments, transparency, or so I thought. Now, doubt gnawed at me, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. I told myself I was being paranoid, stressed from work, maybe even a little jealous of her getting away while I held down the fort. It was just a girls' trip, just a few days. But as I rinsed her mug and placed it in the dishwasher, I couldn't shake the image of her face in the mirror, that fleeting look in her eyes before the practiced smile clicked into place. It wasn't the look of someone excited for a relaxing getaway. It was the look of someone hiding something. And the cold certainty settling in my gut told me I probably didn't want to know what it was. The first day crawled by. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself with spreadsheets and client calls, but my focus kept splintering. Every ping from my phone made my stomach lurch, expecting a text from Celeste. When it finally came late that afternoon, it was short, almost impersonal, landed safely. Weather is amazing. Talk later. No picture of the beach, no mention of the resort, no details about the flight, or Brenda, or Tricia, or Lisa. Just a generic update. I typed back, "Glad you made it. Have fun." But the exchange felt sterile, functional, like checking a box. The kids came home from school, filled the house with the usual noise of backpacks hitting the floor, fridge doors opening and closing, arguments over the TV remote. It was a welcome distraction. We ordered pizza, watched a movie, normalcy. But even as I laughed with them, a part of my mind was elsewhere, replaying Celeste's goodbye, analyzing the brief text message, searching for clues I might have missed. Later that night, after the kids were in their rooms, the silence returned, heavier this time. I found myself wandering aimlessly through the house, our house, filled with 15 years of shared memories. Photos on the mantelpiece showed us younger, smiling, unaware of the hairline fractures that might one day threaten the foundation. Her favorite throw blanket was draped over the armchair where she usually sat. Her scent lingered faintly in the bedroom. It was torture. I felt like an intruder in my own life, second-guessing everything. Was I creating suspicion out of nothing? Was this midlife anxiety, a fear of complacency manifesting as paranoia about my marriage? I wanted to believe that. I desperately wanted to be wrong. I ended up in our home office, the room where we both sometimes worked. Celeste hadn't used the shared desktop computer in months, preferring her sleek work laptop, the one that was now supposedly with her at the sunny resort. On impulse, I sat down at the old machine. It whirred to life slowly, dusty and neglected. I clicked open the browser, more out of habit than anything else. And there it was. Her email account was still logged in. My heart started pounding. This felt wrong, a violation of privacy. I should close it, walk away, respect her space. But the unease, the gnawing suspicion that had been building for months, pushed back. She wouldn't mind, would she? We shared everything. We didn't keep secrets. Or did we? My hand hovered over the mouse. Just a quick look, just to put my mind at ease. Confirm that the vague texts and hushed phone calls were just my imagination working overtime. I clicked on the inbox. Recent emails popped up, newsletters, store promotions, a few forwarded jokes from her sister. Nothing. Relief began to wash over me. I was being ridiculous. Then I saw the sent folder. My breath caught. Against my better judgment, compelled by a force I couldn't name, I clicked it. The list loaded, emails to her sister, replies to work colleagues, forwards. And then one subject line jumped out, sent 2 weeks ago, flight and hotel confirmed, ref 7G8LW2. It wasn't addressed to Brenda or Tricia or Lisa. It was addressed to a name I didn't recognize. Mark Ellison. My blood ran cold. I clicked on the email. It was short, simple. Got it booked. Can't wait. See you there. M. Below it was the forwarded confirmation detail. A flight? Yes, but only one ticket to Miami. And a hotel reservation. Not a sprawling resort suitable for a group, but a single king room at a boutique hotel known for its romantic atmosphere, booked under his name, Mark Ellison. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. I gripped the edge of the desk, my knuckles turning white. It wasn't a girls' trip. It was never a girls' trip. The names, the vague plans, the friend picking her up. It was all a lie. A carefully constructed, deliberate lie. I scrolled numbly through the rest of the sent items. More emails to Mark. Flirtatious banter disguised as casual chat. Inside jokes I didn't understand. References to past meetings, future plans. Plans that clearly didn't include me. Each message was a small blade twisting the knife that had just lodged itself deep in my chest. 15 years. How long had this been going on? Who was Mark Ellison? How could she stand in the hallway, look me in the eye, and lie with such ease? The woman I thought I knew, the life I thought we had built, it all felt like smoke, dissolving into nothing. The bright pink suitcase by the door wasn't just luggage, it was a prop in her play. Her practiced kiss wasn't affection, it was misdirection. Her vague texts weren't casual, they were calculated. I sat there, staring at the screen, the glow illuminating the profound darkness that had just enveloped my world. The silence of the house was no longer just quiet. It was suffocating, filled with the weight of her betrayal. I felt hollowed out, a shell of the man I was only hours ago. The paranoia wasn't paranoia. The unease wasn't anxiety. It was instinct, and my instinct had been screaming the truth all along. Celeste wasn't on a girl's trip, she was with him. Numbness gave way to a slow, burning anger, coiling tight in my gut. I wanted to smash something, yell, break the suffocating silence. But I didn't move. I just sat there, frozen, rereading the emails, each word reinforcing the devastating reality. The betrayal wasn't just the affair itself. It was the elaborate deception, the casual way she had lied, the complicity of this Brenda who picked her up, likely another lie, or a friend in on the secret. Who else knew? Did our friends whisper about it behind my back? Did her family know? The thought sent a fresh wave of humiliation washing over me. I felt like a fool, the trusting husband playing his part, while the real story unfolded behind the scenes. I finally pushed back from the desk, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. I needed air. I walked out the back door into the cool night. The moon hung high and indifferent in the sky, casting long shadows across the lawn where our kids had played just hours before. I leaned against the railing of the deck, breathing deeply, trying to force calm into my racing thoughts. What now? Confront her when she got back? Call her right now? Demand answers? The image of her laughing as she got into the SUV flashed in my mind. Laughing with her accomplice, heading off to meet her lover, leaving me behind to hold our life together. I thought about the kids asleep upstairs, oblivious. How would this break them? How could I shield them from the wreckage of their parents' marriage? The weight of it felt crushing. This wasn't just about me and Celeste anymore. It was about the family we had built, the future we had promised them. A cold clarity started to cut through the anger. I couldn't just react. I needed to think, to plan. She had been meticulous in her deception. I needed to be measured in my response. Blowing up, making accusations over the phone while she was miles away with him, what would that achieve? It would give her control, allow her to spin another story, play the victim perhaps? No, I needed evidence, undeniable proof. The emails were damning, but they were digital, easily deleted, easily denied. I needed something concrete. I went back inside, the resolve hardening within me. I took pictures of the emails on the computer screen with my phone, capturing the sender, recipient, dates, and content. Then, methodically, I logged out of her account and cleared the browser history, leaving no trace that I had been there. She wouldn't know that I knew. Not yet. The next step felt colder, more calculated, like stepping into a role I never thought I'd play. Financials. We had shared accounts, credit cards. If she was paying for things on this trip, there would be a trail. I logged into our main credit card account online. My hands were steady now, fueled by a grim determination. I scrolled through the recent transactions. Gas station near our house yesterday morning. Normal. Then a charge from yesterday afternoon. An airline, the same one from the confirmation email. One ticket. Consistent with her lie about Brenda booking everything perhaps, if Brenda had used our card. Or maybe Celeste had booked her own flight after all, adding another layer to the deceit. Then I saw it. A charge from earlier today, not from a sprawling beach resort, but from the Ocean Palms Boutique Hotel in Miami. The exact hotel listed in the confirmation email sent to Mark Ellison. The charge wasn't huge, likely just incidentals, maybe room service, drinks by the pool, but it placed her there, in that romantic hotel, with him. The knot in my stomach tightened, but the anger felt sharper now, clearer. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was confirmation, cold and hard, in the digital ledger of our shared finances. She wasn't just lying, she was using our money to fund her affair. I screenshotted the transaction details, saving them alongside the email photos in a hidden folder on my phone. Each piece of evidence felt like a stone, building a wall around the truth, a wall she wouldn't be able to talk her way around. The rest of the night passed in a blur of forced calm. I checked on the kids, listened to their steady breathing, the innocence of their sleep a stark contrast to the turmoil raging inside me. I lay down on the couch, sleep impossible. My mind raced, replaying conversations, searching for missed signs, trying to pinpoint when everything started to unravel. Had it been months? Years? Was any of it real? Every shared laugh, every intimate moment, every whispered promise felt tainted now, viewed through the filter of her betrayal. The foundation I thought we stood on wasn't just cracked. It felt like it had crumbled into dust beneath my feet. Morning arrived, gray and unwelcome. I went through the motions, coffee, getting the kids ready for school, packing lunches, operating on autopilot. They noticed my quietness. "You okay, Dad?" my daughter asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Just tired, honey," I lied, hating the ease with which the deception came to my own lips now. "Didn't sleep well." As they headed out the door for the school bus, A text came through. Celeste. Morning. Poolside. Thinking of you. Attached was a picture, not of her, but of a brightly colored cocktail with a slice of pineapple perched on the rim, a sliver of blue water visible in the background. Generic, impersonal, calculated. Looks relaxing, I typed back, my thumb hovering over the send button. Bile rose in my throat. Relaxing with Mark Ellison in your king-sized room, paid for with our money. I deleted the message. What was the point? Engaging in this charade felt suffocating. I left her message unanswered. Let her wonder. Let her feel a fraction of the uncertainty I was drowning in. The weekend stretched ahead, a bleak expanse of time filled with forced smiles for the kids and the silent weight of what I knew. I needed to keep it together until she returned. Sunday evening. She was due back Sunday evening. Then the charade would end. Then the confrontation. The thought filled me with a mixture of dread and grim resolve. The life we had known was over. I just had to get through the next 48 hours before facing the reality of tearing it all down. Saturday was a fog. I took the kids to a baseball game, trying to be present, cheering at the right moments, buying them overpriced hot dogs. But my mind kept drifting back to the emails, the hotel charge, the generic poolside photo. Celeste sent another text mid-afternoon. Hope you guys are having fun. We're just having a quiet dinner tonight. Love you, love you. The words felt like ash in my mouth. I didn't reply to that one either. The silence stretched between us, growing heavier with each unanswered message. Was she getting nervous? Or was she too caught up in her romantic getaway to notice? That night, after the kids were asleep, I found myself drawn back to the credit card account online, more out of a morbid curiosity than expecting anything new. And there it was, a charge from a restaurant in Miami. An expensive one. Not the kind of place you go with the girls for a casual bite. The kind of place you take someone you want to impress. The kind of place Mark Ellison took my wife, using my money. The charge was time-stamped just a few hours before her text about a quiet dinner. Another lie, documented in black and white. I saved the screenshot, more stones for the wall. Sunday arrived, overcast and humid. The air felt thick, mirroring the tension building inside me. Celeste was due home tonight. Her flight was scheduled to land around 8 p.m. She texted in the morning, heading to the airport soon. Sad to leave the sun. See you tonight, XO. Still no mention of the non-existent Brenda, Tricia, or Lisa. The facade remained firmly in place. I spent the day cleaning, organizing, trying to impose order on the house while my internal world felt chaotic. I packed away some of her things from the bathroom counter, small personal items that suddenly felt alien. I moved a framed photo of us from the living room table, tucking it away in a drawer. I couldn't look at it. The kids sensed the shift. They were quieter than usual, exchanging worried glances. "Is Mom okay?" my son asked as we ate a silent dinner. "She's fine," I said, trying to sound reassuring. "Just tired from her trip, probably." Another lie. They were piling up. As 8 p.m. approached, my anxiety ratcheted up. Every car that passed on the street made my head snap up. I paced the living room, checking my phone obsessively. 8:15. 8:30. Then a text. Landed. Grabbing my bag. See you soon. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. The end of the waiting. The beginning of the reckoning. I went to the front door, unlocking it, my hand trembling slightly on the knob. I stepped onto the porch, the damp evening air cool against my skin. Headlights turned onto our street, an airport taxi. It pulled into the driveway, the engine cutting off, leaving an almost deafening silence. The back door opened. Celeste emerged, pulling the bright pink suitcase behind her. She looked tired, the remnants of a fading tan visible under the porch light. She paid the driver, then turned towards the house, spotting me on the porch. A smile flickered across her face, weaker this time, tinged with something I couldn't quite read. Relief? Apprehension? "Hey," she said, her voice softer than usual. "I'm back." She started walking up the path, the wheels of the suitcase rattling on the concrete. Each step sounded unnaturally loud in the quiet night. She reached the porch steps, looking up at me. Her eyes searched my face, perhaps looking for the usual welcome, the hug, the questions about her trip. But I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just stood there watching her, the wall of evidence I had collected standing invisibly between us. The air crackled with unspoken words, with the weight of the truth I held, and she hesitated, her smile faltering completely now. "Michael?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Is everything okay?" Everything was not okay. Everything was broken, shattered into pieces by the emails, the hotel charges, the lies packed away neatly in that pink suitcase. I met her gaze, holding it steady. The carefully constructed calm I had maintained all weekend began to crack, replaced by the raw, cold weight of betrayal. I finally opened my mouth to speak, the first word of the new reality we were about to inhabit lodged in my throat. What came out wasn't anger, not yet, just a flat, hollow question that hung heavy in the damp night air. "How was Mark?" Her face went slack, eyes widening in shock, color draining away beneath the fading tan. She knew. She knew that I knew. The carefully built facade crumbled in an instant, leaving only the raw, ugly truth exposed between us. She opened her mouth, then closed it, no sound emerging. Her hand, still clutching the handle of the pink suitcase, tightened, her knuckles white. The air thickened, silence stretching, heavy and absolute. This was the moment, the breaking point. Confusion swirled with a chilling certainty inside me. Celeste stumbled back a step, the movement jerky, involuntary. The pink suitcase wobbled beside her. "Mark," she repeated, her voice thin, incredulous. I don't know what you're talking about." The denial was pathetic, almost insulting. Did she really think I'd ask that question without knowing the answer? I stayed silent, letting her flounder, letting the weight of my stare convey everything I wasn't saying. Her eyes darted around, anywhere but my face. The porch light, the closed front door, the shadows pooling on the lawn. Trapped. "Michael, you're tired," she stammered, trying a different tactic, attempting to regain control by casting doubt on my state of mind. "It was a long weekend for you, too, with the kids. Let's just go inside." She made a move towards the door, reaching for the handle as if she could simply walk past me, past the question, and back into the life she had pretended to return to. I shifted slightly, blocking her path, not aggressively, just enough to make her stop. "The Ocean Palms Boutique Hotel," I said, my voice quiet, but carrying the weight of indisputable fact. "Room service for two? An expensive dinner last night? Not exactly a quiet night with the girls, was it?" Each word landed like a physical blow. She flinched, her hand dropping from the doorknob as if burned. The last vestiges of her composure crumbled, her shoulders slumped, and a choked sob escaped her lips. How did you find out?" she whispered, finally looking at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and despair. "Does it matter?" I asked, the coldness in my own voice surprising me. The raw pain was still there, churning beneath the surface, but it was overlaid with a layer of ice. "You stood right here 3 days ago and lied to my face. You packed your bag, kissed me goodbye, and went to meet another man. You used our money. You disrespected me, our children, our entire life together." "Michael, please," she begged, tears starting to stream down her face now, catching the porch light. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened." "Things don't just happen, Celeste," I countered, the ice cracking slightly, letting a sliver of anger seep through. "Choices happen. You made choices, hundreds of them. Every time you sent him an email, every time you met him, every time you lied to me about where you were or who you were with. This trip wasn't a mistake. It was a plan." "I was going to tell you," she sobbed, clutching at straws. "I swear, I needed time." "Time for what? To figure out how to keep lying more effectively?" I shook my head, a bitter taste filling my mouth. "Or time to drain more money from our accounts before you left for good?" Her head snapped up at that, confusion warring with the guilt on her face. It was clear she hadn't known I was aware of the financial aspect as well, the emails planning the logistics. The sheer calculation of it all was breathtaking. "No, it wasn't about money," she insisted, though her voice lacked conviction. "Mark, he understands me." "Understands you?" I let out a short, harsh laugh. "What part of you does he understand, Celeste? The part that's capable of betraying 15 years of marriage? The part that can look your husband and children in the eye after spending the weekend with someone else? Is that the part he understands?" She had no answer. She just stood there, weeping, the pink suitcase a garish symbol of her deceit standing between us. The porch light hummed overhead. Inside, the house was silent. The life we knew had ended right here on these steps. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I had loved, the mother of my children, now a stranger whose actions had irrevocably broken us. There was no going back. The trust was gone, pulverized into dust. "Get your bag," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion now. It was the only way to get through this. "You're not staying here tonight." Her eyes widened further in disbelief, then panic. "Michael, no! Where will I go? Please, we need to talk about this." "There's nothing left to talk about," I said, stepping back and opening the front door, not for her, but to go inside myself. "You made your choice when you got in that car on Thursday morning." I turned, leaving her standing there on the porch, the tears streaming down her face, her pleas echoing unanswered in the night air. I walked into the hallway, the click of the door shutting behind me, feeling impossibly final. The house felt vast, empty. The silence was absolute now, no longer heavy with suspicion, but stark with the cold, hard reality of the end. My hands were shaking. I clenched them into fists, leaning my forehead against the cool wood of the door. It was done. The confrontation was over. But the real fallout, the long, painful process of dismantling a life, had only just begun. A wave of exhaustion washed over me, profound and deep. Alone. I was truly alone now. The silence on the other side of the door was almost worse than her pleas had been. I strained my ears, expecting more crying, maybe banging, perhaps the sound of the taxi being called again. Nothing, just the low hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen and the frantic thumping of my own heart against my ribs. How long did I stand there? A minute? 5? Time seemed to warp, stretching and compressing. The adrenaline that had carried me through the confrontation drained away, leaving behind a bone-deep weariness. My legs felt heavy, unsteady, as if they might buckle. Slowly, I pushed myself away from the door, turning to face the empty hallway. The house felt cavernous, echoey. Every shadow seemed deeper, every familiar object slightly askew, viewed through this new fractured lens. Our life wasn't just broken, it felt contaminated, stained by the lies she had tracked in with that bright pink suitcase. Upstairs, the kids were sleeping, oblivious. Tomorrow morning, their world would change too, tilting off its axis because of choices they had no part in. The thought was a fresh stab of pain, sharper than my own sense of betrayal. How do you tell your children that the life they know is over because their mother decided it wasn't enough? I couldn't even finish the thought. The words caught, thick and painful, in my throat. I walked heavily towards the living room, sinking onto the edge of the couch. The cushion still held a faint imprint from where I'd sat earlier, waiting for the lie to walk through the door. Now the lie was outside, somewhere in the night, and the truth was sitting here with me, cold and unwelcome company. There would be lawyers, phone calls, difficult conversations, division of assets, custody arrangements. The logistics of dismantling 15 years felt overwhelming, a mountain I didn't have the strength or energy to climb right now, but I knew I had to, eventually, for the kids, for myself. I picked up the TV remote, aiming it at the blank screen, then put it down again without turning it on. What was the point? Nothing could distract from the raw, gaping wound where my marriage used to be. Celeste's tear-streaked face flashed in my mind, followed immediately by the image of her laughing as she got into that SUV on Thursday morning. The two images warred, the woman I had loved versus the stranger who had betrayed me. Guilt tried to surface, a conditioned response after years together, but it was quickly drowned by the cold, hard reality of her choices. She wasn't my problem anymore. The thought landed with surprising stark clarity. Her choices, her future, where she would sleep tonight, none of it was my responsibility now. My responsibility was upstairs, sleeping, unaware that their shield had just been shattered. I took a deep breath, the air shuddering in my lungs. The first step. Just take the first step into this new, unwanted reality. I needed to check on the kids, reassure myself they were okay, anchor myself to something solid in the wreckage. I stood up, my body aching with a fatigue that went far beyond lack of sleep. One foot in front of the other, towards the stairs, towards whatever came next. The path ahead felt impossibly dark, uncertain. Just emptiness, stretching out where a future used to be. Utterly hollow.